A Sonos Amp can be used in multiple ways. Some will use it to connect their huge speakers to their television. Others will use it to pair their best speaker with the rest of their Sonos system just to listen to music. While others will buy it to connect their in-ceiling speakers or even to add regular speakers as surround with a Sonos soundbar. No matter what you want to do with your Sonos Amp, in this video we will see everything there is to know about the connection at the back of this little amp. And do not underestimate it by its size, you will be surprised at how much power it can deliver. If you are planning to connect it to your TV, you will need an HDMI cable that is not included in the box. So I left you a link in the description if you need to order one. The HDMI on the back of the amp is an HDMI ARC port. ARC as audio return channel. It's a technology that is around for the last few years, and as its name suggests, it can return the sound of everything that is playing on your television to another device, like the Sonos Amp. This connection allows you to do also some other things like volume control. If you know me, you know that I don't like the ARC technology because it generally works as an airplane that tried to land without wings. Yeah, but surprisingly and luckily, with Sonos, it works just fine. So among all the HDMI port there is on your television, find the one with the ARC indication and connect the HDMI cable into it to the one and only HDMI port at the back of the Sonos Amp, which will allow Sonos to play in your speaker everything that goes through your television. Depending on the age of your television, it is possible that you do not find an HDMI ARC port at the back of your TV. If this is your case, you will need this little adapter. This is an HDMI to optical adapter. It comes with every Sonos soundbar, so the beam and the ARC, but it's not included with the Sonos Amp. But this one still works with the Sonos Amp. You can order it on the Sonos website. I've leave you a link in the description if you need this little guy. It's almost cheap. If you need it, the way it works is that you will take the HDMI cable, you will connect it at the back of your Sonos Amp, and at the other end of the HDMI cable, you will connect the adapter that goes to the optical output of your television. And yes, surprisingly, it works very well. I never see that kind of technology somewhere else than Sonos. Very important, remove the plug at the end of the connector before connecting it, otherwise not only it may not work, but you may risk to break the optical output of your television if you force too much. In the last 15 years, I never seen a TV without an optical output, so yours surely have one. If you search for it on your TV, it's look like this. There's a small door that's shut in front of it, and you should see a red light at the back. This light is the audio signal, and it's not the easiest cable to connect either. When you look at it, there is a side that is flat, usually that side goes up. But as you can see on my television, that's not always the case. Push it until it clips. If you are part of the 0.1% of the people who doesn't have an HDMI ARC port and an optical output on their television, well, you at least must have an analog output, so the red-white cable or a headphone jack. In this case, I'll left you a link in the description so you can order the cable you will need to connect to the input right here at the back. You can also connect any analog source to this input, so like a turntable, a CD player, or those kind of devices. If the volume sound is too low or sound disordered, it's probably just because you have to adjust the input gain, and I can show you how to do it with this video. The next connector that we see is to connect a sub. The Sonos Amp is the only Sonos device that can drive an active sub. For that, you can use any RCA cable, this kind of guy. You'd probably have a bunch of wires somewhere in your house that looks like that. Well, you can use any of them. It can be the red and white one. It can also be the one that you use by the time for the image it doesn't matter. You can use those cables to connect your sub. Or if you don't have these, well, you can use my link in the description to order the right cable. This cable will go from the sub output of the Sonos Amp to the probably only one connector on your sub. But if there is more than one input on your sub, use the LFE. Or probably any input, doesn't really matter. The Sonos Amp, just as any other speakers except the Move and the Roam, can also be paired with a Sonos sub. Then, it doesn't matter what type of speaker you're connecting to the amp, but you will need this kind of speaker cable to connect your speaker to the Sonos Amp. And let's talk about this cable. Personally, I always use this kind of cable. It's a speaker cable that can be used inside walls because there is a certain resistance to fire, but it also do the job just fine if you need to pass the wire from your Sonos Amp behind your TV stand to your speakers. I will leave you a link in the description if you need to order this kind of cable to do your installation. As you can see in my cable, there is 4 wires. It's a 14-4 cable. 14 is the size of the thread and 4 is the amount of wire. About the 14, the smaller the number is, the thicker is the thread. And the bigger the cable is, the better the sound quality will be. In my experience, 14 is plenty enough for any speaker you will connect on a Sonos Amp. So, how does it work? You will need a small plier like this one to cut the jacket of the wire. Personally, I like this kind of model because it's easy to use, it works to any size of wire, and moreover, it's cheap. If you don't have this kind of plier at home, there is nothing that stops you from trying to use scissors or knife, but you will soon realize that this kind of cable is kinda tough. So I'll left you a link in the description if you want to order a plier like this one. So first you have to gently cut the jacket without forcing too much to be sure not to cut the jacket of the other wires inside. If it does that, it's not good. It might create a short eventually. So do it slightly and keep yourself a certain distance in length so you can work with the wire after. So you can do only a small incision and then bend the wire multiple times until the jacket breaks apart. Then you can cut the rope. This one is made to cut the jacket more if necessary. Then you will have to delicately strip the end of each wires. It really doesn't have to be long. It should be just long enough to fit into the connector, but not too long for it to stick out. If it's too long and they eventually touch each other, this will create a short. I also invite you to twist the end of each wires to prevent them from ending up scattered in all directions. If you have a single pair of wire, red and black, that's fine. Put red in red and black in black, and make sure you do the same with the speaker. The color is indicated only on one side of the connector and on the back of the Sonos Amp. If you have a cable like mine, there isn't really an official rules as to which color to use. The only thing that is important is that the negative and the positive are plugged in the same place for the amp and the speaker. Red is positive and black is negative. My personal standards is to use red as positive and black as negative for the left speaker. So in this case, red and red and black and black. And for the right speaker, I use white as positive and green as negative. So in this case, white in red and green in black. Don't get confused in this case with the white circle. It can be confusing, but it's only there to illustrate the black inside. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to illustrate a black circle on a black piece. If you want to do a real professional job, you can even write on the jacket where it's going. On the Sonos connector, all you have to do is to unscrew the connector, insert the stripped wire, then tighten. Very, very hard. It's very solid. Then, all you have to do is push the banana connector into the amp. Yes, it's called a banana connector. I like connecting the wire from the bottom. This way, I think it's make a cleaner job once the amp is in place. Oh, and about the network connector, you'll notice there is two. They do exactly the same thing, so you can use whichever you want if you want to connect your Sonos amp to the network. You're free to use the second one to connect a second device to your network. It's a network switch. The Sonos amp can work very well wirelessly, but I always recommend to have at least one Sonos device connected to the network with a cable. If you want to know everything about it, you can see that video. Finally, I forgot the most important cable, the power cord. And there you go, everything is plugged in. If you ever find yourself having not enough input behind the amp, know that the Sonos amp have been designed so that all devices are connected directly to your TV. This way, every time you will switch the input on your TV, it will also change on the Sonos input. So thanks to this only HDMI input, there is as much input on the amp as your television have. So finally, if you need help to configure your Sonos amp, I invite you to take a look at this video. Enjoy! So this is it, thank you for watching, I hope it helps. If yes, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to see my other Sonos tutorial, visit my link in the description or just right here. I have a lot of video on the subject. Also, feel free to leave me a comment down below, maybe you'll give me an idea for the next video. If you're shopping for a new Sonos device, please see my link in the description, and you should also see my video how to choose the right Sonos device for you just right here. Finally, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can find me back easily next time you need help. Take care, and I hope to see you again, maybe on my main channel. See ya!